Get out of debt. Get into financial peace. Dave Ramsey shows you the way. Weekdays 1 to 4 on Baton Rouge's talk and information leader. Talk 107.3 WBRP.
AM Baton Rouge returns. Quick time check, 6:37. It's time for another installment of DC Current, to look at what's going on in the nation's capital, brought to you by the LABI. And our guest today for DC Current is Senator Bill Cassidy, who joins us live. Senator, good to talk with you again.
Hey, Kevin, thank you for having me.
Well, good to have you with us this morning. We're going to talk a little bit about Steve Gleason and the Congressional Gold Medal. This is a very big deal. This is something you've been pushing for quite some time. Tell me a little bit about this.
Yeah, Steve Gleason, everybody remembers the guy. He blocked the punt against the Falcons, first came back from the Dome after Hurricane Katrina, and Curtis Deloach recovers it for a touchdown. The crowd erupts. Al Michaels blown away. It's Monday Night Football. And it, symbolized that New Orleans, Louisiana, the Gulf Coast was coming back. We would not surrender. In 2011, Steve was diagnosed with amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, ALS, or Lou Gehrig's disease. He brought that same sort of, we're not going to surrender. He says no white flags to being diagnosed with ALS. He's done so much since being diagnosed with ALS to benefit others with those types of diseases. Becoming an incredible advocate, helping develop software and hardware to help on and on. We're honoring him with the Congressional Gold Medal. And last night we passed it on the Senate. It'll now go to the House, where I'm optimistic it'll pass. And Steve Gleason, again, will be honored with the Congressional Gold Medal for his advocacy for those with disability in general and ALS in particular.
He was instrumental in getting this software developed to allow people whose speech may be taken by a condition such as this to actually speak with the aid of something like an iPad.
So the guy can't move except for his eyes and his eyelids, but he's otherwise frozen.
Mm-hmm.
But he developed this with Microsoft, developed a screen he can look at, and if he blinks his eyes, his wheelchair moves to the right. He blinks his eyes, looks someplace else, blinks his eyes, and it moves to the left, or it goes forward. He has some pre-recorded stuff. Before he lost his voice, he read out loud. It recorded his voice. So the computer will go grab words from this data bank of his words. So you walk in to see him, he blink his eyes. Hello, Bill and Kevin. Good to see you today. Well, tell us, Steve, what's going on. Well, today I will be on Talk 107.3. And just by blinking his eyes, it triggers that sentence.
That's amazing.
So, and now, because of his advocacy, it's been developed, and because of his advocacy, I was able to get a bill through the Senate that if you're on Medicare with ALS, you have access to these sorts of machines. He's working to make it better for fellow Americans.
Well, he is inspirational. Of course, Donna Britt, right here across the street from us in Baton Rouge, fighting the same condition. Her last broadcast was this Wednesday because it's starting to affect her speech. We've lost a member of the family who owns this radio station just 7 months ago to ALS. So this is very, very timely for us here in Baton Rouge at the very least. Yeah,
and it's one of those things where if you raise awareness, in our community, tragically, there's people well known and loved who are sick, but otherwise, it may be that the researchers don't connect. So what Gleason did is he had an international conference with 1,000 different researchers and patients and others to begin to coordinate the research, to put together a big data system where everybody puts in their information, hopefully getting the information back that will help find a cure. So really a proactive, what can we do to prevent it and to help those who have it.
Senator, we have to take a quick pause, take care of a little bit of business and some traffic information. There are a couple other things I wanted to talk to you about while we still got you on the phone, including the VA Mission Act, which the President just signed into law. If you don't mind holding on, we'll take care of that business, and we'll be right back with Senator Bill Cassidy on Talk 107.3 FM. It's 6:45 AM Baton Rouge. And DC Current, brought to you by the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry, continues. This morning we're chatting with the Senator Bill Cassidy. Thanks for staying with us, sir. Wanted to congratulate you on getting a piece of your legislation signed by President Trump. That was the VA Mission Act, and I must confess I'm not familiar. Do you mind breaking that down for us?
Well, we just signed a big VA bill in which we extend choice. And so for a veteran who does not live near a VA facility, they can now go to the private doctor in their own community that can provide the same service. And incredibly important for folks in our state. And we extend it a little bit. So sure, I always tell folks, if you're having a colonoscopy and you're taking your prep, you don't want to...
You're not exactly mobile during that period of time.
You don't want to drive 100 miles.
No.
Going to your colonoscopy. You know what I'm saying with that.
Yeah, I know what you're saying with that. Been there, done that.
And so what this does is it extends the choice program so that folks who are further away from a doctor can still get the doctor of their choice. And we just think that's incredibly important. The VA shouldn't be about buildings. It shouldn't be about VA employees. It should be about the veteran. And what do we do to make it better for the veteran? And that's our goal.
Another topic, if you don't mind talking about it, we understand that you had some influence in getting some projects inserted into the Army Corps of Engineers 2018 work plan.
Yeah, totally. South Louisiana and North Louisiana have done fairly well with that. Lots of money for dredging, a lot of money for repairs for damages after the Great Flood of 2016, including, I think, $14 million for the Comey diversion. So both for the current economics, future mitigation against flood risk, there's a lot in there that will make our state better off.
Well, all of these projects are high priorities for everybody in south of I-10 at the very least, if not the entire Gulf Coast in the state. So we appreciate that. Before we let you go, the Congressional Gold Medal, by the way, back to the Steve Gleason conversation. I just want people to understand that this isn't something where 10 of them are given out every year. These are very, very rare, and the likes of Orville and Wilbur Wright, Thomas Edison, Bob Hope, Winston Churchill, Billy Graham, John Wayne, Dr. Martin Luther King, Jack Nicklaus, Mother Teresa. These are fairly rare. And Senator, will Steve come to D.C. for awarding of this medal, or will D.C. have to come to him considering his current condition?
You know, he has come to D.C. let's say 6 months ago. Unfortunately, I don't know his current state, and it is possible that things have worsened. He will not be able to. But just to put a point on what you said earlier, there might be 10 different Congressional Gold Medals flowing out there right now. We were the only one to get the two-thirds sponsorship of all the senators. We have over 70 senators who've signed on. We could have gotten 100, but we stopped at 70. We're the only one to get that. And other folks have great folks up to be honored, but they are topping out at around 55. So Steve's story is compelling, and his, I think, will be the only one awarded this year at the rate it's going.
Well, and as I said, this is a very rare thing, and I don't think that point should be lost on the folks who are listening today. And we do thank you for that, and also for joining us. We look forward to our next conversation. United States Senator Bill Cassidy, and always a pleasure to have you with us, sir.
Thank you both.
This is DC Current, brought to you by our good friends at LABI, the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry, the guardians of economic freedom for business in our state since 1975.